Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, October 16th, 2014 edition of the Auburn Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight's hearing, we have a 7 o'clock applicant scheduled for Southbridge Street Holdings LLC, request for a special permit under section 7.6, signs permitted in business or industrial district of the Auburn zoning bylaws for signage at 619 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass., map 55, parcel 5. However, we do not have an applicant present at this time, so I'd like to suggest to the board that we wait a few minutes, if that's appropriate.
Okay.
I don't have anybody to ask about audio or recording because there's nobody in the audience to see them, so we'll wait until they get here. In the meantime, we do have some signatures to collect for the last two decisions that we had. If I could, please. Not with us this evening, so we'll hold off on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may, so the decision for the 310 Washington Street,
Yes, sir.
I had responded and requested some minor edits to the minutes, and I know that this decision just came out today. And I would ask that, in consideration, the same edits be applied to the decision as well.
Okay, if you could make notes in the sidelines, which ones, and you're referencing. And I know that I saw them, she did email them to me, but if you want to just make notes where you
I'd be
want
happy to do that. Yes. Yeah, I'll make this easy. Can I retain this?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
and
hold
I'll
off on
just,
signing
I
that.
just want to make sure that it's a mirror image and I'm not changing anything differently than what was sent, so I'll do that quickly.
Absolutely. So those. Good evening.
Zoning?
Yes. Would you be our 7 o'clock applicant?
I am.
Okay,
I own the property at 7 o'clock now,
okay.
but I can certainly,
Are they here to represent themselves?
somebody's due, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because the actual general manager is out of town right now.
Okay,
He said he was sending one of his employees with me, but I know more than the employees. So we try to talk about it.
I think it would be appropriate to have as many parties present as possible.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you'd like, just have a seat for a few minutes, and we're gonna
Okay, great.
give them some time. Could I have a motion on the floor if we could go into recess for a few minutes?
So moved. I would make that motion for recess.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
I'm not sure of your name. I'm sorry.
Michael Marin. That's okay. Larry and I were confirming your name as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
You don't have a
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
nameplate.
We
I
can
was
be-
here a couple months
We can be
ago.
anybody we want.
well, my wife is probably watching tonight, so.
Michael there.
Yep.
I'll have to write on a piece of tape. Before you open it.
I'm sorry?
Before we open it.
Right, we have to appoint an alternate.
You might want to do that.
Yeah. Okay. No, I appreciate it.
Just thinking.
Get another one, Joe.
Both parties present now?
We are.
Okay, great.
Come out of recess.
Yes, do I have a motion on the floor to come out of recess?
Motion to come out of recess?
Second.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, to start over, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, October 16th, 2014 edition of the Auburn Zoning Board of Appeals. Our 7 o'clock applicants are present. Before we start the hearing, I'd like to inform everyone here that we are recording, and this will be replayed on the local access channel. I also have to ask if anybody here is recording the meeting for any purposes at all. Hearing none, seeing none. Our first applicant at 7 p.m. is Southbridge Street Holdings LLC, requesting a special permit under section 7.6, signs permitted in business or industrial district of the Auburn zoning bylaws for signage at 619 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass., map 55, parcel 5. Before we get started, I'd like to inform all the people present and the public at home that we have 4 sitting members and 2 alternates this evening. We are required to have 5 members for a vote, so I'm going to appoint an alternate, which is a standard customary procedure that we do. So I'd like to appoint Mr. Natoli for the purpose of this meeting. And if you gentlemen could approach the podium, introduce yourselves, and give us a brief overview of what you'd like to accomplish.
You would start that, Brett. Good evening and thanks for seeing us. My name is Michael C. Jacobs. I'm one of the property owners of 619 Southbridge Street and Southbridge Street Holdings LLC. The reason we're here tonight for the application, our tenant, which is filling the building, Golfers Warehouse, has an existing sign that they use at all their locations. And they'd like to be able to put it onto our building along with some window graphics that is also part of their business model. And as I was going through with previous planner Adam about different things, we noticed that we exceeded the square footage bylaw of signage per frontage of the building. So we immediately applied for, to be here tonight to make sure that, that we could install these signs.
Okay. Mr. Cussy, do you have any questions?
I'm okay with the Golfers Warehouse, but the window signage seems to, put it right over. That just adds.
Well, my name's John Szymanski. I'm the manager for Golfers Warehouse in Natick, and I will be the manager of Golfers Warehouse here in Auburn, and I'm certainly looking forward to that opportunity. The one thing that I would say about our window graphics, they're vendor-driven, but they prevent theft instead of open windows. We update them at minimally annually, oftentimes biannually, so you don't get, also with technology and things like that, you don't get fading. They're not cheesy graphics. It's not a graphic that offends in any ways or looks trashy.
Anything else, Mr. Cussy? No? Okay. Mr. Chicolo?
I have no problem whatsoever with the signage for Golfers Warehouse. The fact that this as a wall sign combined with the Anytime Fitness sign exceeds the 120 square feet. The architectural design of this building is such that it appears as if it's 2 separate businesses. Mm-hmm. One is set back. This certainly fits the model of other businesses here in town. The size of this sign, I have no problem with that at all. It's aesthetically pleasing. As far as the window graphics, our bylaws mention specifically window signs. They are specifically mentioned separate from wall signs. There are no specific regulations put on window signs if you were going to consider this a sign. It is a picture. It's graphics. and consistent with other businesses that we have within this town, I would think that this is most pleasing looking at that. When I drive through this town and look at the window signs, and I would classify this as more of a picture than a sign. When I drive through this town and look at the window signs that are currently displayed in this town, we would have some serious issues with 3 out of 5 businesses within this town that range from liquor stores to donut shops to pet stores, multiple different businesses within this town. My feeling is the window graphics, being that they are, the window is a separate category, okay, is definitely should be considered separate from the wall sign, which is also defined separately. And if I look at the intent and purpose of our law, okay, it is necessary to preserve the interests of the town of Auburn in its natural, scenic, historic, cultural, and aesthetic qualities. Certainly meets that criteria. I have no problem with anything that I'm seeing tonight.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Jiggler?
All set.
Okay. Mr. Maron?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. I was very pleased to see, you invest in the town and tenants in that location. As I look, and I understand Mr. Chicolo's comments, as I look at the store frontage, to me, the architecture with the 2 dormers indicates that without signage, you would think that there would be potential for 2 different businesses, 2 different locations, just within the spot that it seems this Golfers Warehouse would occupy. I also agree that it's aesthetically pleasing. I think that with our intent to show that that entire space is being occupied by Golfers Warehouse, I think that I'm also okay with with that Golfers Warehouse sign in its location, particularly with your comments earlier, Mr. Jacobs, regarding it's a consistent size sign with all of their locations, and so that's a business model. Some of the other comments that were shared tonight regarding the window graphics. I also agree that I would separate in my mind the window graphics from window signage. And I also understand that that's driving your business model, and that there are changes, and that they're very aesthetically pleasing, that they are updated, that they're not cheesy wall hangings, if you will. I do understand that it is certainly a form of advertising, but given that it's vendor-driven, and that I would assume it would be seasonal, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any additional questions or comments.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Natoli?
Okay, yeah, I like as far as the Golfers Warehouse sign above, it's definitely how it matches with the building, and this is a good form of having a special permit to allow that. As far as the window signs now, both comments were correct, except in one aspect that I think for the window signs, they are separate, and they are separate in the bylaw, 7.5.5, and they do have size requirements. So I would petition that we add that as a relief from 7.5.5, because the window signs can only be 25% of the window or 16 square feet. So there is a size requirement. I'm not against your size requirement, but just to make everything, as legal as possible, we just need to probably add 7.5.5 to the petitioner's relief. Because the dimensional reliefs on 7.6 are specific for wall sign, monument signs, and things like that. As brought out before, it is separate, and Larry was correct in his bringing that out. It's just that there is a size requirement. So if we're going to grant relief, we need to reference that and be at.
Okay. Anything else? So I'd just like to add, I agree with everyone else's sentiment that it is aesthetically pleasing, especially as Mr. Natoli did point out that we do have a requirement of either being 16 square feet or 25%. And I also had read that we have, for a special permit, we do have some leeway as a board, and I'd like to read those for the record. For the special permit required, the zoning board of appeals shall act upon applications for master signage through the special permit process, and the zoning board of appeals shall consider the following: the relationship of the proposed signage to the overall development as well to the surrounding properties, the extent to which the proposed signage is compatible with the proposed architecture, and the use of appropriate landscape to complement the proposed sign designs. So we do have some leeway in terms of the bylaw. Do we have any other discussion?
Just do you want to make a motion to add 7.5.5?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me write that down.
So it actually ends up being one for 7.6 for the wall sign, and then relief for the window signs.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to include 7.5.5 on this application along with 7.6.
Do I have a second?
I would second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, seeing none? Okay, so voted. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Do I have a motion on the floor to approve the special permit?
I move through the chair to approve a special permit under Article 7.6 and 7.55 to allow for the signs herein proposed on the application.
Okay, and actually, as Mr. Maron had requested at the last meeting, that we instill a roll call style vote for this purpose from this point forward. So,
Yep.
Mr. Cussy?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, do I have a second?
I would second.
Okay. Mr. Cussy, your vote?
I'm in favor.
In favor. Mr. Chicolo?
Affirmative.
Mr. Maron?
Approved.
Mr. Natoli?
Yes, approved.
And I, as chair, approve. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you for coming in.
Look forward to coming to Auburn.
Good luck.
We look forward to having you. Thank you, sir.
And we apologize on timing this, we both spent mistakenly about 5 minutes before.
So if we move on to discussion of miscellaneous and other business, we have some signatures that I previously collected, so there is no issues with editing on the Spar Hack decision, I take it, to make sure, okay? So I'll submit that as such. Mr. Maron, you have some editing issues on the 310 Washington Street that you're gonna take care of?
I will absolutely do that, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you very much.
and I'll do it quickly.
Okay. Just so I inform the other members of the board as well, I have not heard back regarding the issue of the vice chair and alternate member status yet. That is still under investigation by the town attorney, and I just want to give you all an update. Again, as soon as we hear something, hopefully by the next meeting, I'll keep you duly informed. And we also have to approve the minutes of the meeting, which were long and difficult for me to decipher with my chicken scratch, but I appreciate all of your efforts in helping me out, editing and correcting and getting them finally submitted. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes as they stand?
Motion to accept.
Do I have a second? And I don't think we need a roll call for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Great. So do I have a motion on the floor to close the hearing?
Yeah.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.